Before any of us knew what it really meant to live online, I was already giving my life over to the internet. It was years before the word influencer even existed, before algorithms came to dominate our daily choices, before we all understood and experienced the emotional, mental, and physical cost of 24/7 visibility. This is the story of the people who built the concept of influence way back in the beginning. What it was like when the world began to watch, and what happened when the audience, as it always does, moved on. I'm Jordan Reid, and this is Like Me. Long before the word influencer went mainstream, before sponsored content was a line item on marketing budgets and hashtag bless was a punchline, I was already making a living selling my life. In 2013, Instagram had just crossed the line into 100 million monthly users. Facebook had recently gone public, and Twitter was the de facto nervous system of the media. The modern idea of influencing his career hadn't quite crystallized, but the mechanics were in motion. Brands experimenting with micro-celebrity endorsements, blogs turning into lucrative businesses, and digital experts, like me, becoming a crucial part of the advertising economy. It was the dawn of a new era, one in which authenticity was monetized, intimacy was packaged, and having a personal brand was starting to feel less laughable than mandatory. What we were selling, of course, wasn't our actual lives. It was the carefully curated illusion of access, an aesthetic of honesty, if you will. A few years earlier, I had stepped into this burgeoning economy as a then novel life form, the professionally accessible woman, an open book papered with affiliate links. My specialty was aspirational, but attainable. In a 2010 article titled The Mini Marthas, the New York Observer called me a, quote, star of the post-expertise landscape, whatever that meant. I didn't know it at the time. How could I have? But becoming among the first of my kind also meant becoming a participant in an experiment that would eventually come for us all. So in between tutorials about how to serve lemon sorbet and hollowed out lemons or organize a silverware drawer, I wrote confessional narratives about my marriage, my pregnancies, and my panic attacks. My posts frequently blurred the line between truth and performance, self-help and self-exposure, and I did it because it worked, not just professionally, but emotionally. There was something profoundly affirming about being seen for who I was, or at least who I wanted to be, and being rewarded for it with money, attention, and something that at least felt like love. How precisely I had found myself being paid to tell people how to get dressed, not to mention how to cook, how to decorate, how to renovate a home, and how to live, basically, remained something of a mystery, even to me. I wasn't an expert at any of those things, and my imposter syndrome was especially loud when I was out in the real world, no computer screen for protection. I was one of the first lifestyle bloggers. If you're young enough that the word blog gives you pause, think of it as a proto-influencer. I'm pretty sure I was among the first of my era to make significant money, although, of course, I was quickly overtaken by far more photogenic or compelling or Mormon or whatever women who were much better at selling the product of themselves. A few credentials, so you know I'm at least not entirely delusional. I was among the first that I know of to score a six-figure deal with a major beauty brand. It was Dove Hair, who I represented for 3 or 4 years, despite the fact that I can barely manage to make my hair acceptable, let alone aspirational. I was among the first to have my own show. It was called Jordan in the House and was part of YouTube's 2011, we're going to do original content now and replace TV entirely initiative. And it was a big deal at the time, I swear. I was also one of the first to publish the kind of blog straight to book that soon, alas, began to clutter up the Barnes & Noble discount racks. See, nobody had really figured out yet that you couldn't just throw a few blog posts into a book and put the blogger's photo on the cover and expect the blogger's fans to come out in droves to buy a book when they already had the blog for free. Anyway, in 2013, when Time magazine brought me into their studios to shoot me for a feature on these crazy women who were suddenly popping up everywhere and making money by documenting their lives, I stood there staring up at the Time and Life building on the Avenue of the Americas for a long time. I was trying to really feel the moment, to imprint it on my mind for future confidence boosts. It had only been a couple of years earlier that I tried to find writing work, or any work, honestly, at one of these magazines and failed. And now I didn't even have to write the articles. I was the subject. When the piece came out in a magazine made of paper, retro, they wrote that, quote, of all the changes wrought by social media, few underscore the reach of the individual like the rise of Reid. The rise of Reid, I thought. What is this world? Plastered across the photo in enormous typeface was the article's title, The Human Billboard. See, the word influencer didn't exist yet, and people were still trying to wrap their minds around how people like me could make a living. Because, oh, I was. New York Magazine was paying me to write about Sorel's fall line of boots. It was a shoot. My now ex-husband took the photos, and I was posing on my front step, and they were basically snapshots, but that was the quality level that was expected at the time. DKNY was paying me to curate, literally just choose, a Ramshackle Glam collection. Clorox was paying me to film myself cleaning out my garage with my toddlers making cameos in the background. I flew to Miami and I was paid $10,000 to attend a party. A party. I understand that this is peanuts compared to what today's influencers presumably make, but you know what it was to me at the time? It was $10,000 to go to a party. If all of this sounds like a dream come true, yeah, of course it was, even though I could never have dreamed up any of it. But here's the unfortunate kicker. As my reach grew, so did my anxiety. It shaded every single day, every single experience. I wasn't a fashion icon. I wasn't a model. I wasn't a chef or an interior designer or a party planner. And yet in countless promotions and videos and photo spreads, I was. As a beauty expert, I made DIY conditioning treatments for a show sponsored by Allure magazine. As a fashion expert, I surprised readers with one-on-one shopping trips to TJ Maxx. As a celebrity correspondent, I was dubbed over in German while I opined on Whitney Houston on Germany's version of Entertainment Tonight. I went on panels to talk about recipes and into boardrooms to represent cleaning products, and I shot entire television shows based on my expertise in everything from lip glosses to literal construction work. But I was an expert at nothing. And deep down, I knew that really it was all smoke and mirrors, and one day, soon, I figured, the gig would be up, and I would be revealed for what I truly was: a trickster, a magician, a fake. There's something nobody tells you when your life, your career, your sense of worth is all tied to your willingness or ability to be visible. And that's what happens when you age out of the algorithm. I don't mean physically exactly, but more, I mean moving into a time in your personal evolution when going viral sounds more invasive than exciting. Hustling for sponsorships when you're finally understanding the true cost of capitalism feels nauseating. And cavorting around in front of a camera in a bikini, I did that, sounds not just unappealing, but like slightly insane. Basically, when you arrive at a maybe wiser, definitely more jaded place in life, and you can clearly see the ideals that you didn't just buy into, but actively sold, well, I don't know, where does that leave you when you've built your career on exposure and the sale of oneself? The answer, of course, is that you pivot. That's what I did. I segued into books, notably the Big Activity book series, and Substack writing, and screenwriting, and real estate, and the marketing of others as opposed to just myself. I realized very early on that I would one day not be the most trend-driving influencer on the block, and I put concrete steps in place to accommodate that, and thank God I did, but of course it wasn't all by choice. Just like the jarring invisibility of moving into middle age isn't a choice, it's simply a reality. The thing is, the entire influencer economy, especially in its early form, was built on youth. Not just technical, physical youth, although yes, that too, but the youthful portion of the life cycle. New marriages, new babies, new apartments, new beginnings. There's an excitement. There's a freshness that comes along with your 20s and early 30s. I felt like I had something unexpected and wonderful to announce almost daily. Also, you know what new beginnings are? They are opportunities to get people to buy stuff. I am sorry to tell you that, yes, capitalism is behind your baby moon, but I don't know. If you didn't know that, I don't think you're going to like this podcast. Anyway, life changes, circumstances shift, and the past few years of my life have brought more endings than beginnings. My career shifted, my marriage ended, my family left the East Coast for good. My energy, that went away. COVID and the loneliness of missing my children taught me how to nap during the daytime, how to go days or even weeks without ever once putting on the persona that I had come to believe was the real me. Now, I need to say here, I very much do not want to be the crazy ex-actress in the corner shrieking, but I partied with Steven Tyler once. And the kids are like, grandmother, we don't even know who that is. But I used to hire people to literally take photos of me wandering around the East Village in various looks, like all the time. And I think if I had to do that right now, I think I would die, expired on the ground. I mean, girl, I'd do it, but I am not holding my breath for Urban Decay to ring me up to demonstrate how to use their new eyeshadow palette, a thing that I once did. And if I tried to take adorable Halloween photos of my of my kids to accompany a day at the pumpkin patch post, they would perhaps never speak to me again. And also, my son is taller than me now. Do you see what I'm saying? Listen, this is hardly a sob story. This is simply the evolution of a career built on an ever-shifting concept, which is the trend economy. I was able to take the skills that I learned, an odd bunch though they may be, and apply them to, I think, kind of awesome effect in adjacent industries. I've watched former colleagues go on to head up agencies, become fine artists, write bestsellers, lean into motherhood, and in some cases, I've seen them actively want to disappear from sight entirely. There is a lot of nostalgia in this subject for me and a lot to learn. I guess I'm hoping that maybe if we can get to the root of how it started, straight from the mouths of the people who were there, it'll give us some insight into where we've arrived. This season of Like Me is about telling the story from the inside. The women who built the influencer industry before it had a name and who put their lives online before there was any cultural understanding of the consequences. The ones who were both rewarded for being visible and in many, many cases punished for it. We're going to talk about becoming content, motherhood as performance, the rise and fall and second rise of relatability, the emergence of parasocial relationships, aging in front of the camera, and the afterlife of being extremely online. You'll hear from readers, creators, critics, and even little baby influencers who have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. That should be fun. But today, we begin here with my own little story. Thanks for listening. I'm Jordan Reid, and this is Like Me.